Hi, today we have with us Anjan, who's an alumni member of TUB Campus of Pune. We would like to welcome you today with us, and we're excited for our talk. So, how are you?
Going good at my end. I've just moved to Denmark, so a little bit in the transition phase. And yeah, of course, it's a bit difficult time to move around at the moment, but still, yeah, I'm fine. Thanks. How about you?
All is good. So, I
Okay.
start with the first question. Could you please introduce yourself to us, like your background, your major, year of graduation?
Yeah. So I'm from India, from the north part of India, and then that's where I've done my schooling. And I did my graduation from University of Pune in mechanical engineering. And afterwards, I worked in Pune and in Mumbai for about 5-6 years before deciding to come to Berlin, campus of Luna, to do my master's in the year 2013. And yeah, it was in energy engineering, and I graduated in May 2016. And afterwards, I was involved in a few projects professionally, which was interesting. And right now, I'm with Siemens Gamesa as a project manager, and also with a startup as a shareholder consultant.
Great. Uh, so, could you please brief us a bit about your startup? It seems very interesting.
In simple words, just imagine any building, be it your house or be it office space, and then we just create that in a virtual medium, right? That's called the digital twin, and that model is fed with all type of relevant data sets, weather data, user building, user profiles, building properties, and yeah, that in return gives you, let's say, the control set points for to run your cooling systems, air conditioners in, for example, Egypt, heating systems in Germany, to be at its most efficient point. So yeah, it's I would say it's we are at least claiming that by implementing predictive control, the energy efficiency could be improved significantly, and yeah, we can also do something good about the planet, right?
Very impressive.
Yeah.
So, what was your experience launching the startup, and what were your struggles? What would you like to share about your experience working on that and now working as a consultant?
When I was a student in TU Berlin in 2014. We had to do a mandatory internship uh, during the master course. But instead of going for internship with the university or with the company, I I was fortunate enough to get selected for this climate kick summer school. I guess many of our students know it now,
Yeah,
um, because I guess after 2015, 16, 17, many people went for this journey, summer school journey. But yeah, from TU, I was the first one, so I kind of
very cool.
opened the door,
Yeah,
and there itself I went for that, and met my team members there, and there itself the idea was formed, which was completely different than what we have at the moment. But yeah, that was, let's say, the start of the team coming together, and deciding to work on our vision of having doing something in the energy sector. um, so over the years, the idea developed, and in 2018 we found the startup in Berlin.
hmm
Struggles. I wouldn't say struggles. I wouldn't use the word struggle as such, but I would say challenges.
yeah,
And challenges you face more or less every day. When you work in a startup ecosystem. I mean, most relevant or most financial issues, which we also had. But we had secured some really fruitful partnerships with Climate Cake, also with the startup ecosystem in Berlin, and they helped us a lot throughout the whole development, and they funded us to do our pilots, to do our prototypes. And yeah, so it was very helpful to be in Berlin. And I believe that Egypt is also moving in that direction, where because I've been hearing a lot of development in startup ecosystem in Egypt as well, which is a positive news for us. Yeah, and a personal challenge I would say is because I had to decide at some point of time that I will need to do another full-time job
hmm
along with my startup, and then sailing two ships at the same time, or boats, not a ship, because the startup is not a giant yet, is not so easy. And of course, you have to put in more effort to be able to do work in a company and also at the startup in the same time. At the same time, but yeah, finding the motivation,
Yeah.
to be engaged in your startup even when you're not working there full time. That means you're not fully committed to it, and that's very difficult. So yeah, you need to be very sure if you can find the motivation, if you need to enjoy the process, and yeah, then probably you can contribute something meaningful for the startup and also for the company. So that's one of the challenge. So yeah, I mean, having said that, I definitely do not recommend uh, people to sail to boats, work in the company and also try to do startup in the side, because one thing I've learned, that startup needs your 100% commitment from your side. And also, if you want your startup to grow later, if anyone comes in from outside, they want to put money in your startup, they would need your 100% commitment.
Yeah.
So in my case, it's a little bit special now, but in general, that's what I've learned. And I think if anyone, new student who hears it, I think the best way to go about it is, if you can take the risk, just take the risk, put 100% commitment and dedication, and go for the startup. Otherwise, if you cannot do that, then it will be very challenging for your startup to grow and generate value out of it. So
That's
yeah.
very valuable feedback actually to us, the students, and to also the alumni, I guess. So how would you compare your experience working in a full-time job versus working in a startup? Like, what were the key takeaways from each?
I guess what I've learned is very generic.
Mhm.
It's a lot of people know about it. But with startup, if you work as a co-founder, you have to do it all by yourself. I mean, of course, you have set of co-founders, or you have your own team who can give you input and who will work with you day in day out. But you need to know. It's my opinion that you need to know everything about it. But
Yeah.
in a company, you have your specific role which you have to perform, right? So startup is a little bit more broad. It's a smaller pond, right? But in that pond, you can swim across. Like, it's up to you. Whereas in company, it's like a sea, but you are just put in one corner of the sea, which you are supposed to take care of. So that's the difference. And of course, with it, in startups, because it gives you a little bit more flexibility with respect to systems and processes, because it's still, I mean, there's a lot of more there's a bit more flexibility than companies if you want to change some processes and so on. So, but these are very generic things, right? But I mean, now what you also might have observed, and which I also think is happening a lot now, it's that big companies are also moving, towards becoming more flexible.
Mhm.
So like startups, and startups, as they grow, they also want to become establish some processes and standards and systems as company. So in my opinion, yeah, if you are, or if you have had the experience to working in both of it, and if you can merge some of the unique things together, then it gives yeah, it makes it a little bit more fun. I mean,
Yeah.
that's my learning. So for example, as I worked in the company, I got to learn about more processes and systems. For example, how to develop a product,
Mhm.
and I could take that knowledge and use it for my startup work as well. I mean, not copy paste, but in a way. And as well with startups, I got to know how to be more agile and dynamic, and I can take that working style also to the company, which has also been appreciated. So yeah, it is different up to a certain level, but you can always find similarities, and at some point of time, you can merge it uh, both. Yeah.
How did your experience in TUB Campus Laguna help you reach where you are now, or is helping you reach whatever you want to reach in the future?
Yeah, I mean, in general, because I'm in energy field, right? The startup is about um, increasing energy efficiency of buildings. My work in Siemens is about developing offshore wind turbine. So it's in line with what we studied, right? So the campus and the studies, they definitely help up to a certain level. But what is my takeaway? or what I remember instantly when someone talks about, like how was the academic experience in TU Berlin, it's mainly related to, let's say, the team project work which we did in a group.
Mhm.
And of course, it's so and it's the key part is that you work with team members, right? So you remember because you also build professional and personal relationship while doing it. But also many times, than not, being an engineer, we tend to think a little bit more towards the technology engineering, and maybe few people think also about the business part, but we forget about the part, which is people, which is also a very important aspect, because we work with the people, and more time than not, we also develop a product or service for the people.
Yeah.
So working with people coming from different backgrounds, different cultures, and different interests was definitely a very learning experience for me. And not only that, I mean, this is one of the most important thing, I think, as a person, you should know who you are, right? And when you work in a team, you try to understand, because in a team, you can have different roles.
Mhm.
And if you work in a team, then you sometimes you realize which role suits you the best. So when I was doing project teamwork with my friends or my fellow students in TU Berlin, and also doing a lot of project work with the startup guys, I realized that what kind of person I am, and which are the roles which which suits me or which suits my personality. So, and from that I understood, okay, maybe for me, I don't want to do, just for example, I don't want to do technical job completely, but I would like to go somewhere where I have to work with people, because maybe I'm good with working with people instead of working with computer all day. So yeah, these things as well during the master course, it helped me a lot, to know what kind of person I am, and yeah, how to work with people from different backgrounds and diversity, from a diverse set of cultures and interests and so on.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else you would like to share with our students or alumni? Any advice? Anything else?
Um, yeah. I mean, I guess everyone is from alumni board. I guess a lot of people are doing great. So congratulations to them, and the ones who are still looking for opportunities. I would say just keep looking, and all the very best. In general, I guess to new students, I would say try to find yourself. Try to be aware about your skills uh, as a person, and also, yeah, what are your strong points technically, or yeah, for commercially and so on. But yeah, and if you want to think about doing something for yourself, you need to be aware about your surrounding. So what is happening around? Because more often than not, you get opportunities from just being aware and being sharp about your surrounding. So you have to do that. You have to be very decisive. So you have to take decisions and take risks, calculated ones, not randomly out of the blue. And one of the important thing is surround yourself with people with whom you can learn. Doesn't have to be uh, learning which is only about your bookish learning or education learning, but people from different cultures, so you can learn about different cultures. Don't restrict yourself uh, in a group where you are only surrounded within your culture. So try to explore other cultures. Try to meet as many as people you can. Build your network. This is one of the most important thing which will help you in your career. So build your network. Surround yourself with people who you can envy. With whose experiences you can learn. So that's one of the most important thing, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for your time. It was very important. Yeah, it's very informative. So thank you so much, and good luck with your
Yeah.
future endeavors.
Yeah. Thank you very much, and all the best to you as well.